the teaching and the biblical teaching of that of Jesus is that you try and sort things out, problems between you and your brother. And, it's a process. You go to them first on your own, and then you go with someone else. And if that doesn't work, you take more. And if that doesn't work, you take to the church. And if that doesn't work, the church. Well, has now makes it clear what the dilemma is, unless it solves it. It says this person is doing something that will have these consequences and costs. You have to guard your fellowship against that. Now, we don't excommunicate, we don't throw them out. We don't ban them from the place. But we do make it very clear to everyone there. This is behaviour that's damaging. This is how you must react to it. Don't copy it, don't be part of it. Simply bring loving kindness against it. As a tolerance, it's not that we don't tolerate evil and we throw the person out who is suffering from it. We recognize disease and illness and suffering, and we treat it with the love of God. That does not mean you're in fellowship with the evil, but you're still doing all you can to bring about the goodness that this person needs. Now, if that drives them out because they find your attitude anathema, well, nothing one can do about that. They've gone of their own accord. If, on the other hand, they're willing to stay, in spite of the recognition that you don't accept their behaviour as good and acceptable, well, they may feel the rejection and go, or they may feel, perhaps you're right, and I do appreciate your kindness. Even though you won't enter into this vilification or damage that I'm doing to someone in the fellowship. And in fact, you rush to their defense every time I talk about it. But you're rushing to their defense, not to an attack on me. You're not throwing me out, violence and force, so to speak. You're just rushing to their defense. You're all constantly working to minimize the impact that I have on these other people that, in the view of the church, have a just cause and a need to be defended from me. Okay. Do I go? Or do I stay? Because I have a need to stay. Do I need? Are my needs being better met by being here, despite my, as they see it, harm to some members here? If I come to the conclusion I do have a need to stay, in some sense I'm confronted all the time with what is that need? And it is being met by this fellowship, but it seems inconsistent with the fully happy relating to this fellowship. What can I do to put it right? And you seek God more and more earnestly, and perhaps God indicates, no, you must leave. But you're not thrown out. You choose to take your inheritance and go. And God is always willing for you to come back, if that's what your need is to you. You can come back. Do you see, we don't excommunicate. We don't throw people out of our churches. Sure, we make the problem known to the whole fellowship, and we train the fellowship in the best way to react to this, which is to guard ourselves and others, especially the victims of this bad behavior. And we come to their defense, but we don't do it by attacking the offender, and we don't throw the offender out. It's part of the fullness of living. We are coming to be harmony in all circumstances, even the most inharmonious. We change it by our love of God and our experience. Thank you, Heavenly Father. You see, we have a very fallen view of how we are to treat a heathen person in the sort of biblical statement. We think it means, to cast out, wipe them out. They're the enemy, they're evil. Not at all. We're supposed to come to their rescue when they're in great need, even if I'm a Samaritan and you're a Jew. Makes no difference. You need my desperately, you need my help. I give it. That's how you treat someone who's alien to you, who's heathen to you. We treat them with love and kindness. Sure, we're not in continual fellowship because we don't seem to have the same values. I mean, you're ostracized to some extent. I mean that in not the negative way, but we take that to be, just as we take heathen man to be a negative thing. You see, the heathen man was ever invited to come in to be part of the children of Israel, to join them. I mean, there were conditions, of course, but I mean, you've got to be a functioning citizen in this family, in this nation. But you're always welcome if that's what you wish to do. Truly, if that's what you wish to do. Well, that's just wonderful. We're delighted to have you. But if you're not, and you're living within the nation, you're not in fellowship in the full sense, but it's not that you have no rights, it's not that you have no value to us, for goodness sake. You're a potential adult in the kingdom of heaven like the rest of us. It's just that you haven't taken it up yet. And we want to with all our heart. We want you to be blessed in the way that we understand being blessed. And we're doing much to bring that about with a sensitivity to God as to what's the best thing to do. You are in our prayers. Do you realize that? If you're on the outside, you're the heathen man in biblical terms, the unbeliever. You're being prayed for. Why? Because we want you to become a believer. We want you to have the joy that we have. We're really not happy that you don't have it. In fact, we're very unhappy. We look at the sorrow and misery in the world and we think, it's so avoidable. If only they could see things as we do. So, if a person can't be reconciled to the church as regards their behaviour, they're treated as a heathen person who's chosen at present to remain in the church. fine, we're not throwing them out. If they are nonetheless, despite their behaviour and, well, our necessary protection of where that behaviour is affecting others, if they still are happy to remain within the church, well, that's wonderful, because they'll be influenced by us much more than the world. And, well, we certainly hope and trust that that will bless them back into full fellowship. But the fact that they're not in full fellowship by their behaviour doesn't mean we push them further out by our behaviour. That's absurd. There's no way we're doing that. We do have to protect those that would be harmed, of course. I mean, not going to have a paedophile running the Sunday school, are you? But does that mean I can't have the paedophile come to church? Oh, that's a nonsense. He desperately needs it more than anyone else. And we know that from our perspective, you understand. And we want to bless him, and we want him to be rescued. That there be the extension of the kingdom of heaven, the full loveliness of God as we conceive of him, we perceive him. And hope, of course, that you too will have this view. So we extend love. We're not reckless in that love. Well, you might think in some ways we are reckless. But we are actually very concerned to protect that which is good. And we do feel we have to do that. But we're not going to throw you out. I mean, it's conceivable that we have to, but gosh, that would be awful. We don't want to do that. There's no way we want to have to do that. Surely there's a better way, God. Show us. You love this person just as much as you love us. Because you see the end from the beginning. And you are God. You've not only made all, but you love all. And you do all things well. So this person is someone you are loving and loves in eternity, just like us. So this is love. It's enlightened love. Well, we hope it is. If it's not too enlightened, presumably we find out quite quickly. Courage, dear friend, courage. But be sensitive to what God's doing, yes. Thank you, Heavenly Father.